Unfortunately, these two episodes were a bit of a return to form. Most of the time, that sounds like a good thing, but speaking in American football terms, this is like the Cleveland Browns returning to their form. Just not good. What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Leverage Redemption Season 3, Episode 7, The Shakedown and Clone Town Job. So just from that name alone, you could probably guess this one was pretty ridiculous, and it was. As much as it tried to be wholesome and have these empowering messages about standing up against the bad guys and the town coming together and all this, Bug's Life did it better, by the way. It was just not really that gripping, I guess. There were some funny moments that I was not expecting when it first started. I think Elliot as the mayor was probably my favorite part of it, just his reactions. That's something that he's always been really good with, is the straight man reactions to crazy situations. And that's been part of the problem, is they've sort of turned him into a bit more of a goofy character overall. So he's not really playing the straight man as much anymore. So this was one of the few times that we've gotten those moments. The one woman complaining about the mayflies. The look of sheer disbelief on his face. Go sit down. So funny. That being said, that's probably the only thing humor-wise that really did make me laugh. Everything else was too goofy. You know, Parker with her whole clone thing, the stuff with the sheriff constantly arresting Elliot, that should have been funnier, but it ended up coming off as more goofy. And of course, getting to the villains. It's funny, as I talk about in the last episode, how we finally had a villain that was different. He wasn't just some rich white asshole that's focused on trying to use the law, essentially loopholes in the law to get his way. We get to this one, and it's not a rich white asshole that's using the law, but it is a rich asshole that's using the law. So he's basically the same thing. And in fact, we've had a story similar to this before, where there was I think it was a judge. It's in the first season of Leverage, because I just watched that episode recently. Kind of similar, in which the judge sort of has control over this small town. And the interesting thing about that one is they do manage to con him out of some money, but then they get caught up in a bank heist by these people that are suffering under the weight of this judge. But it's pretty much the same type of villain, where this mayor, he's completely in control of the town. He also is the judge for the town. He has control of the sheriff. His brother's on the town board, so he's always going to stay in power, and everybody has to do what he says because he also has control of this biker gang that is essentially his own form of police, in a way. If anybody steps up or tries to do anything, they get dealt with by this biker gang. So it just feels way too similar to that judge character from the first season of Leverage, and he's not really that interesting. He and the sheriff are both so over the top. The sheriff more so than the mayor, because he's definitely hamming it up every single scene he's in. Just that stereotypical, overly southern accent where you can just tell he's really trying to sound like he's southern. And it doesn't work, because neither of them are interesting. But like I said before, I'm not going to harp on the same problem that this show has had since, at least as far as I can remember. But yeah, once again, the villains just do not work. The comeuppance does not feel great. The biker gang did add a different element, but like I said, they basically did the Bug's Life story, where the many of the smaller people that aren't as big and strong and tough as the biker gang, they all banded together to get them out of town. We've seen that done before, and more interestingly so. So unfortunately, there's just a lot about this episode that didn't work. It kind of felt like we returned to form, and that's not really a good thing, because the form for this show has been bland and uninteresting. On top of that, Sophie's little romance with this random guy, I don't get it. It felt sort of out of nowhere. She suddenly was talking about the dating apps again, even though that was last episode's thing. So I guess we're carrying on with her searching for love. And then just random dude who's literally just the perfect man that every woman dreams about. He's a firefighter. He's into poems. He's big and strong. He's got like the chiseled jawline. It's just, he cooks, he bakes. And on top of that, he's interested in British culture. So all I'm thinking is, who actually is this guy? Because there's no way Sophie literally met the man that is perfect for her in this random town as she's talking about wanting to search for love. This feels like it should be something that is maybe a part of a con, but I don't think it is. I don't know. It just felt random. I'm not at all interested in this story unless they do take it somewhere along those lines that he's not actually real. But I don't know how that would work, since he does have a sister in the town. That wouldn't really make sense. So all in all, not a great episode. Pretty frustrating, but we move on. We only got 3 episodes left, and kind of ready to move on from the show at this point. So with all that being said, on to the next episode. I'll see you there. And now episode 8, the cooling off the mark job. So this one, I like the setup of it. I think the problem that I have is in the final few moments, they really jumped the shark with this whole episode. Because I like the idea. You got a Mark coming in that they've just ripped off, and he wants them all dead. And Hurley just happens to get caught up in the moment when he's coming to see the team. And I like that sort of setup. I think it's a clever setup to see Hurley working with this guy and trying to basically keep him from doing what he's doing and trying to continue on in that lifestyle. And the thing is, not only is that a clever setup, but you also finally have a villain that I feel like is well done. Like, he is a little over the top in the moment whenever he finally breaks down. That whole scene, Sophie as well, in the moment, was a little over the top with her character too. But I like the fact we finally have a villain that's not 100% evil, and they actually do work on changing his mind. A lot of what he was doing for this girl. I think it was pretty obvious. I don't know how it took him so long to find out. In fact, they didn't even find out. He had to tell them. But if you're a guy, you don't just learn sign language for some random girl. She had to be special to him somehow. So the fact that they didn't figure that out was also a little stupid. But like I said, it's nice to have a villain that's not actually a villain. They still do have a guy that they do manage to take down, and they have all the hitmen involved. But it's just very refreshing to have that little bit of change. But you get to the end, and suddenly you find out apparently Parker set up this whole thing to have Clay come after the team and have Hurley find him in the office. Apparently that was all part of her plan. Hurley was the one that needed to cool off, as he said. I'm guessing after whatever happened, which I really wish that had been a little bit more of a focal point, because it was more so on the periphery of this episode, but it's kind of interesting to see. It's not something we really have ever talked about in this show. As far as I know, you have a con that goes wrong, and a Mark ends up killing himself because of the con that they set up. We've not really discussed that, and it's something that I think would be pretty interesting to delve into a bit deeper. Because obviously a lot of these villains that they're going up against, they are over-the-top evil, but they're still human, and they're trying to get them locked up most of the time. They're not trying to kill them. So what would happen if they did screw up somebody's life so much that they would just decide to end it all? Like, would that affect them? Obviously for Parker, I don't think it would, but we see with Hurley, he has to deal with the ramifications of that. He had to watch the guy get himself killed. He had to deal with a family member, I guess, coming after him and yelling at him. So it's something that I wish had gotten a little bit more focus. But yeah, the idea that Parker saw through all this, that she saw that Clay was not a bad guy, she wanted to help him. I don't know if the whole team was in on it. They were very vague with that. They just showed Parker putting some sort of napkin note in his pocket, I'm guessing with the address of where to go. So unfortunately, it just jumped the shark for me right there. I don't think they needed to do that. I think you could have just had it be a moment of happenstance that Hurley showed up there at the same time. And you can make the episode about the team trying to help Hurley through this, but don't make it a whole planned thing that Parker actually set up, because that's just not realistic at all. Now, I know it's a show, and a lot of these cons do end up working out a lot more coincidentally than they probably would in real life, but this is on another level that just makes it unbelievable for me. But on the whole of it, it was a fine episode. Nothing really pissed me off about it. And I think there were enough good moments with Clay and with some of these moments with Hurley that I think balanced out some of the more goofy moments. I do hate the fact that we couldn't see Elliot go up against the balloon girl, because I feel like that would have been kind of funny. It's almost like Elliot's fighting against Parker, the way the girl was acting. But they just cut away and then cut back, and he's carrying her unconscious body. That would have been a fun fight to watch, because I thought the fight between him and the janitor was pretty entertaining too. I also would have liked to see Clay's reaction to seeing that this whole team was actually trying to help him in the end, because we didn't really get that. We just see the moment whenever Sophie and Harry are with Clay and Denise, I think her name was. We see the moment whenever they're setting off the car alarms, but we don't actually see him react to the fact that this team that just conned him out of all that money ended up being the good guys, and they wanted to help him in the end. That would have been a nice scene as well, but it might have been something that they filmed and got cut. So all in all, decent episode, but still not up to the level that episode 5 and 6 were. But I'll take what I can get, I suppose. With all that being said, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these 2 episodes? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Leverage Redemption reviews. Also check out the channel. We have a lot of other reviews on here, so check those out if you have time. But until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you all later. Peace out.